Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Caleb Perez Show. It is Monday, March 16th, 2026. Welcome to the show. We have one goal for today's show. It is our favorite time of the year for a college basketball fan base. It's March Madness bracket time, motherfuckers. Let's go. So, we got some very good teams in March Madness this year. This could be a very fun one. A lot of great scoring, a lot of great defense, a lot of great physical play from teams. And I do think we're going to get a few upsets this year. A lot more than last year. Not a whole lot. Not 2023 levels of upsets, but I think we're going to get a good bunch of upsets here. So I'm going to go over the bracket region by region, and then I'll end off with the final four. I'm going to start off with the East and move on from there. So I'm going to start off with Duke's side of the bracket because Duke's side of the bracket is very, very strong this year. So starting off, obviously, Duke versus Siena. I wouldn't be surprised if Duke put a fucking 1,000 on Siena. Give me Duke all the way for that one. And Ohio State versus TCU. These are two teams that are very, very hot right now. They've been playing really good ball. I got one name for you. Bruce Thornton of Ohio State, officially the Buckeyes' all-time leading point scorer in basketball. He's going to show out this game. I think the Buckeyes advance to play Duke. St. John's versus Northern Iowa. This could be the first game that truly, truly goes on upset watch. St. John's has played very well, don't get me wrong, but Northern Iowa has also been playing very good ball. So we could see an upset for this one, but I don't see it for this game. I think St. John's is going to hang on and win this game. Kansas versus Cal Baptist. This is another big upset watch game. Both teams have been playing very good ball, but I do think Kansas will have what it takes to hold on. Kansas will advance. Louisville versus South Florida. South Florida is playing some of the best ball for one of the lower seeds right now. This is a really bad matchup for Louisville. We get our first upset of the tournament. South Florida will upset Louisville. Michigan State versus North Dakota State. Yet another one that could be on upset watch, but I think the Spartans pull away in the second half. Give me Michigan State. UCLA versus UCF. This is a tough matchup right here, but I have a bunch of friends who are UCLA fans. They'd probably kill me if I chose against UCLA in any form or fashion, so I'm going to go with the Bruins to beat UCF, but this could go either way. And then UConn versus Furman. Congrats to Furman for making it back here, but I think UConn's just way too good right now. I'm going to go with the UConn to beat Furman. Going back to the round of 32 on the Duke side of the bracket. I love my Buckeyes. They've been able to hang with some of the best this year. But I just think Duke is by far the heavy favorite. Duke is playing way too strong a ball right now. Duke holds on, it advances. St. John's versus Kansas, another tough one to predict, but I'm going to go with Kansas purely because of experience from that head coach. South Florida versus Michigan State. I think South Florida could be a Cinderella team this year, but I think Michigan State's just a little bit too talented right now, so I'm going to go with Michigan State to move on. And then UCLA versus UConn. UConn's a very strong team, but UCLA's got a good coach in Mick Cronin. Could go either way. I'm going to go with UConn, though. I think UConn's too strong. And I really hate to make this on 1, 2, 3, 4 side of the bracket. I really hope I wasn't going to do that, but that's what it's going to be for this one. Again, Duke's too strong. I think Duke has a great chance to win the whole thing this year. And then Michigan State versus UConn. I'm actually going to go with Michigan State on this one. I think Michigan State's playing some really good ball right now, and they're going to keep on doing so. Give me Michigan State to beat UConn. And then, do we get a Final Four after this? Or is this? Oh, this is Elite Eight. All right, so Duke versus Michigan State. Michigan State's going to hang with Duke for a little bit. They're going to make this a really close game, but I think Duke is going to get away with it at the end. Again, Duke is my heavy favorite to win the national championship this year. Give me Duke to go to the Final Four in Indianapolis. And then we're going to go over to this side of the bracket. Arizona versus Long Island. I think Arizona could hang 100 on Long Island right now. Utah State could be a Cinderella team this year, so I'm going to go with Utah State. We're going to see some upsets on this side of the bracket, I think. And then Wisconsin versus High Point. High Point scores points in a very high volume. While Wisconsin does play good ball this year, High Point is a really high point scoring team. This is a bad matchup for Wisconsin. I think High Point pulls off the 12-5 upset and advances. Arkansas versus Hawaii. I think this game could be on upset territory, but Arkansas being the champion of the SEC, I think Arkansas will hold on and advance. BYU versus Texas or North Carolina State. I don't think Texas really deserved to make it that far. I didn't think they were that strong of a team this year. I think NC State will beat Texas, but I do think BYU wins the winner of that game regardless. But don't be shocked if we do see NC State be able to go on a deep run this year. And then Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State last time they made it almost pulled off a really big upset, but I think Gonzaga is one of the best teams in the nation right now. I think the Zags will hang on and win. We got Miami versus Missouri. This one is kind of going to be a home game for Missouri because it's in St. Louis, so this is basically a home game for Missouri. But I do think Miami, they have a very physical team. They out physical Missouri, and Miami will win. Purdue versus Queens, champions of the Big Ten. I like Purdue to win this game. Arizona versus Utah State. Arizona is a very good team. I think Utah State will make it close, but I think Arizona's gonna win. Then Arkansas versus High Point. Arkansas again, they score points in bunches, so I think High Point's gonna make it a close game. But I do think Arkansas will have what it takes to hang on and win. BYU versus Gonzaga. I think both teams are very strong, but BYU is very hot. I think BYU upsets Gonzaga. And then Purdue, Miami versus Purdue. This is going to be another very close one right here. She's the champion of the Big Ten. But, again, Miami. They out physical Purdue. Miami takes down Purdue. Then Arizona versus Arkansas. I think Arkansas is just really hot right now. This is another really big upset. I think Arkansas takes down Arizona. And then BYU versus Miami. I'm going to go with Miami to go to the Elite Eight. And we got Arkansas versus Miami, champion of the SEC. Miami, a very physical team, so that's going to keep it close. But I think Arkansas is just playing too good a ball right now. I like Arkansas to go to the Final Four. And so that is my east side of the bracket. Actually, no, I'm going to make a change real quick. I think Gonzaga is going to beat. I think Gonzaga beats BYU, but I still think Miami beats Gonzaga, so there's that. So that's two teams in the Final Four, Duke and Arkansas. We're going to move to the south side of the bracket, aka Florida side of the bracket. I think Lehigh's pulled off upsets in the past, but I think Lehigh wins that game against whoever PV is, but I'm going to go with Florida win whoever, regardless. Florida's too strong right now. Defending champions, they're going to go on a run. Clemson versus Iowa. I like the way that Iowa plays their game, so I'm going to go with Iowa to take down Clemson. Vanderbilt versus McNeese. Vanderbilt's playing some very good ball, playing the ICC championship game, barely lost. McNeese has everyone's favorite student manager, so they could be on upset watch again. But simply put, I think Vanderbilt's hot, but dude. I think a lot of people are going to pick McNeese to go for an upset here. But it's not going to happen. Give me Vandy. McNeese is going to play a really strong game, though. Then Nebraska versus Troy. I also really like the way Nebraska plays, so I'm going to go with Nebraska to beat Troy. North Carolina versus VCU. North Carolina is a solid team. Maybe not as strong down the stretch as I would have liked them to be. So I'm going to go with VCU to upset North Carolina. Illinois versus Penn. Illinois has played very strong this year. Penn won the Ivy League. I've had a good past of predicting upsets when it's an Ivy League team. I'm going to go Ivy League here. Penn upsets Illinois, I think. Nah. Dude, I don't know. You could go either way on this one. I'm going to stick with VCU versus Penn. That's an interesting matchup. St. Mary's versus Texas A&M. St. Mary's is very strong, but I'm going to go with the SEC here. I think might be one of the easier 12-7, 10-7 upsets to pick right here. And then I think Houston, they're going to be hungry to get back to the national championship game to revenge the loss from last year. I'm going to go with Houston to smoke Idaho. They could hang 100 on them. In Florida versus Iowa, I'm going to go Florida, defending champions, very strong team. Maybe don't shoot the three as well as they did last year, but I think Florida's going to try to get back to that national championship game ASAP. In Vanderbilt versus Nebraska, I think Vanderbilt's just too hot right now. I'm going to go with Vanderbilt to take down the Cornhuskers. VCU versus Penn. This is a coin flip for you, but I'm going to go with VCU. And then Texas A&M versus Houston. Again, Houston's going to look to get back to the national championship game. I'm going to go with Houston. Take down Texas A&M. Vanderbilt versus Florida. This is going to be a very high-scoring affair. But again, Florida, defending champions, they're going to want to get back there. And then VCU versus Houston. I'm going to go with Houston. And then in the Elite Eight, we will get a rematch of last year's national championship game, Florida and Houston. Will the outcome be different? Personally, I do not think so. I think Florida advances to the Final Four where they will play Duke. Then we move on to the Midwest side of the bracket. First of all, Michigan versus UMBC/Howard. UMBC has pulled off. UMBC was the first team to pull off a 16 versus 1 upset. They're not going to this year, giving the Michigan Wolverines to dog walk whoever they play. Georgia versus St. Louis. This could be a tough one right here, but I'm going to go with SEC power over St. Louis, but this can go either way. These next two games are going to come down to the guard play. They're very guard-heavy teams. Whose guards are going to play better? I'm going to go Max. I'm going to go with my boys from the MAC. Akron Zips upset Texas Tech in the first round. Then Bama versus Hofstra. Again, this one is going to come down to whose guards are going to play better. I think Bama's got some of the best guards in the nation. I'm going to go with Bama. Miami, Ohio, or SMU against Tennessee. I'm going to go with Tennessee no matter what. Miami, Ohio, in my opinion, just did not deserve to make it. And then SMU, while they are strong, they're not as strong as Tennessee. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Virginia versus Wright State. Now, Virginia is a very, very good team this year, so I'm going to go Virginia. But one thing you got to know about Virginia, they get upset very often. They were the first ever 16th seed to get upset. They lost to Furman a few years ago, and they lost to the Ohio Bobcats a few years before that. Virginia is prone to getting upset. I don't see it happening right away, so I'm going to go Virginia. And then Kentucky versus Santa Clara. This one's a coin flip. You could go either way on this one. Personally, I think Kentucky edges by, or barely squeaks by. But I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, you know what? My friend is going to Santa Clara next year. Fuck it, I'm going to Santa Clara. They upset Kentucky. Then Iowa State versus Tennessee State. Iowa State's super, super strong this year. Yep, I'm going to go Iowa State. Then we move on. Georgia versus Michigan. Michigan is way too strong. Nearly beat Duke. I'm going to go Michigan. Akron versus Alabama, yet again, comes down to whose guards are going to play better. But I think Alabama is just way too strong. So give me Alabama. Tennessee versus Virginia. As I say, Virginia gets upset often. It happens this one. I'm going to go with Tennessee. And Santa Clara versus Iowa State. Could go either way. Santa Clara did play really strong down the stretch. I'm going to go Iowa State, though. So I think Iowa State on paper right now is just a little bit better. But I'm going to go with Iowa State. And then Michigan versus Alabama. Alabama's guards do play really good, but I think Michigan are the second strongest team in college basketball right now. They played a little rough down the stretch, didn't play games as good as I thought they would, but I still think Michigan will have what it takes to take down Alabama. It's going to be a very close game, though. You could go either way with that one. And then Tennessee versus Iowa State. I personally think that Tennessee, with the experience of playing some really good games last year, is what's going to win Tennessee this game. I'm going to go at Tennessee to take down Iowa State. And then Michigan versus Tennessee. Again, Michigan is the second strongest team outside of Duke. They're going to want to get redemption for their regular season loss to Duke. I think Michigan wins, and Michigan goes to the Final Four. And so we move on to our Final Four. Duke versus Florida on April 4th. And both of them were April 4th, so that's a bad one. Final Four matchups, Duke versus Florida. Arkansas versus Michigan. We got 3 1 seeds. I hate to be boring and choose the 1 seeds, but I think the 1 seeds are just super strong. And then, so let's get to it. Duke versus Florida. Duke is the overall heavy betting favorite for most people. Last time I checked, they were the favorite to win on Kalshi by 4%. Florida is a very good team. This is going to be a close game. My issue with Florida is that they don't shoot the three as well as they did last year. That they go on really cold stretches. That's going to cost them this game. Duke advances to the national championship. And then Michigan versus Arkansas. Arkansas is playing some very, very good ball going into the tournament. Michigan, in my opinion, is the second best team outside of Duke's. It's gonna be a very close one, but I think the Wolverines, purely by their motivation, want to get revenge for Duke, the Duke loss. I'm gonna go with Michigan to go to the national championship game. And here we are, the national championship game on April 6th. Duke versus Michigan. They played against each other in the regular season. They played each other for the title. As an Ohio State fan, it kills me to say this. Michigan gets redemption. The Michigan Wolverines win the national championship in 2026. Duke, in my opinion, is a very, very strong team. I think a lot of people are going to go with Duke. And for a very good reason. Duke is very strong. But I do think Michigan, purely off their motivation, they played each other once. Second time adjustments are made. Michigan makes the right adjustments. Michigan gets it done. How many points are scored in the national championship game? I'm gonna have Duke. I'm gonna have Michigan winning the game. 79 to 75. 79-75 is the final score, so that's 154 points. And yes, I would like to enter my bracket and everything. Boom. So yeah, there's my bracket. It's going to be a very good tournament. There's going to be a lot more upsets than there were last year. Last year did not come with very many. I do have 2 1 seeds in the championship game, though. I think Duke versus Michigan right now are just by far the 2 best teams in the nation. So they make it far. We do get some upsets. Obviously, I have Arkansas making it to the Final Four, but yeah, I do think Duke and Michigan are the 2 best teams in college basketball, and I think Michigan will win the championship game purely because they've played each other once. Adjustments are made the second time around, so I'm gonna go with Michigan to win the national championship in 2026. Kills me to say that as an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, but I think Michigan's is a really good team. So, and they beat us 3 times. So what can I say? But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. I'll make a few videos throughout the week. I might update my bracket, depending on what injury news we get throughout the tournament. So I'll try to cover that quickly as possible. But that's gonna do it for this video. So thank you guys for joining. I will see you next time. Let's hope for a good March Madness this year. Peace out, y'all.